Simply Tammy.
It's a blessing that I'm here, I'm alive. No, I never ever have to cry, cause it's something I know will always work for me on my side. Not a thing I even have to fight, All things work together for my good. Life speaks if you listen, it might be sound. Watch the love come alive. Sharing the truth that inspires, Sharing the truth that inspires, Sharing the truth that inspires. All things work together for my good. Life speaks if you listen, it might be sound. Watch the joy come alive, watch the joy come alive. Sharing the truth that inspires,
Inspired to love, inspired to grow, inspired to heal, inspired to live. Simply Tammy.
Hello, and welcome back to season 2 of the Simply Tammy Show. I am your host, Simply Tammy, and I'm so delighted to be back with you for another episode. I brought in a little surprise in episode 1, and I'm continuing that surprise. I had a guest who was from my original series when I decided to jump into the podcast world, Women Who Win. And I have another one of those guests from my Women Who Win podcast. She is a native of Greenville, South Carolina. She is an entrepreneur. She's a mother. She's a grandmother. A beautiful person that meets no strangers. She's kind of like an undercover politician in the area, because you're not going to go anywhere with her and she's not going to know somebody where she is. But I am delighted to have her with me. She actually was my very first Women Who Win guest when I launched that. So I'm excited to welcome to the Simply Tammy Show, Stephanie Gray. Hey, Stephanie.
Hey, Tammy. Now, that was a funny introduction. Undercover politician.
Yes.
I can promise y'all I would never go into politics, but that's not true. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for saying yes. Again, I know. And you reminded me when we came, when I was getting ready to launch the Simply Tammy Show. Mm-hmm. You were my pretend guest to come in here so we could test the aesthetics and everything. So you've been in this space before, but not as an official guest. So I'm glad that you said yes to coming back and visiting and sitting with me and catching up. Y'all, we've been talking ever since we seen each other, because we ain't seen each other in months, and we're friends, and just life has just been lifing and being busy. So we've been catching up before catching up. So it is good to see you, and welcome.
Well, thank you.
So I'm doing the revisits of the Women Who Win just because life is full of transition. My life has been marked by transition, and even though that series was just 5 years ago,
so much. Thought it was shorter than that. It's 5 years.
Yeah, it was 2020, and your interview was in May of 2020.
Wow.
And so many of the women that I interviewed has had so many significant changes in their life since then. And I'm glad to be able, because all of those were virtual. So now to be able to have a space to do some face-to-face and be in the same place with you while we talk, I'm like, let me try to circle back with some of the ones that are local. So one of the obvious things, you were Stephanie Blassingame when I interviewed you.
I was Stephanie Blassingame in 2020.
And now you're Stephanie Gray.
I'm Stephanie Gray. I'm not officially Stephanie Gray, legally I should say.
Okay.
But I'm making that transition back to my maiden name. So and from 2020 to 2023, I had some changes, and so I'm single now.
Okay.
And when you reached out to me about doing this, and I said, I think I am ready to talk about who I am and what I'm doing in my life now, because people are starting to see me outside. You know, so
you're outside.
I'm outside more now, for sure. And so, I was ready when you reached out.
So, I'm going to talk about who you are now, but just to lay the foundation, how long were you married?
I was married for 26 years.
26 years.
Yep, for 26 years.
That's quite a lifetime.
That's a very long time. I was married for 26 years, and then just with that person totally for 33 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've heard many people say that divorce is like a death. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I have no point of reference of my own, but what was that process like for you? How do you make a decision after 26 plus years to do something different?
That was like my question whenever I would meet people or hear about people who've been married 26 years or 30 or 40 years and they divorce. And when I started going through that process, I had to repent for judging them because I'm like, God, y'all been together that long? Just like work it out. Mm. But in my case, it was like a death, and it still feels like death. I still am going through a grieving process in different stages as I'm healing. But pulling the trigger is not easy. It is not easy to leave a relationship. You tend to think about a lot of things of what ifs and what will happen if I do this or that. But I pulled the trigger because I started thinking about myself. And I was like, I have to do it like literally for my health. I felt like if I stayed in that relationship that I would have physically died.
Oh, wow.
Because I'd gotten on medications for blood pressure, and there's no root cause of it other than my social anxiety that I was dealing with every day in my own house.
Oh, wow.
And so there was one thing that that made me pull the trigger that I can't share here. I can, but I'm not going to share it here. And the reason being is because I'm putting it in a book.
Okay. So we'll get the deets later. Okay.
You get the deets later.
I'm trying not to probe, but we'll read the book.
Right. Put it in a book for sure. But and like I was saying, you just ponder a lot on a lot of different things to help you make that decision or not make the decision. And one day we were having a conversation, and he just said one thing to me, and I immediately was like, "Okay, I'm pulling the trigger." And that was it for me.
Okay.
So there's not anything that's like a one thing for everybody that goes, you know, through a divorce that will make you just do it. It's just your own personal situation. But I just started looking out for me, and which was not easy, and because I thought I was already doing it. You know, I'm always on the platform of self-care, and then I started the platform of self-care and self-love, and I'm like, you ain't doing none of that like you're supposed to be doing. And so doing it was like extremely hard. One day I heard from the Lord, and he was like, watch him and do what he does. And I was like, what? And so I'm watching him, and I ain't liking nothing he doing, you know.
Wow.
But the lesson in that is he was looking out for himself. And that's because that's what I kept seeing. I was like, he doing everything he want to do, and, you know, it's all about him. And so I was like, okay, Lord, I hear you. I'm going to start looking out for myself. And we agreed to have an amicable divorce, and it just didn't go that way. It was very hard. And I experienced a lot of things that I felt like I would never, ever experience going through that. And I've heard people say divorce is hard or marriage is hard. And I'm like, that stuff don't have to be. You know, if everybody is just, you know, play their part and be mature in it and work on yourselves, then it doesn't have to be. And I still believe that. But it takes two, you know, when it comes to that. And so I really started looking out for myself, and when I had to look out for myself, it caused me to do things that I had never done before, and I just felt like it just wasn't my nature to do. And I would just cry and grieve. And then I had an attorney, and he would say, you know, they sent their papers in, and you haven't done your response, and you get like 30 days, you know, back and forth, you know, with that. And I'm like on day 28, and my attorney's calling, and I said, listen, I'm built different. I said, this thing is hurting me every single day. And I said, so when I get those papers and I see those requests on there, I said, that hurts me. And I said, so I need time to heal while I'm reading through these papers. And I said, I might read 1 or 2 sheets and then I might not pick it up again for a week. But I always make my deadline. But that was just like part of my process. And so I made a decision that I was going to heal and grieve while going through the process, because I kept seeing myself on the other end folded up in a ball on the floor. I just kept seeing that, and I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to heal along the way. And that's not always easy, because you are trying to work with somebody while y'all divide and separate. And so that's what I did, and that's what got me through. And whenever it was all said and done and over, and I was strong enough and brave enough to talk about it and share it with people, I had already been through the hard part, because that was literally my biggest fear of divorce outside of my house, is people knowing. That was like my biggest fear. Really? Because I had started living a lie in my marriage, and I felt like we both did, where we had this image that was outside, because everybody that hears about it is like totally shocked, because we had an image out there, and people can put you, on a pedestal and set you up, and you just kind of comply and fall into that. So when I started realizing that I was living a lie, because we were in the house and we'd be in separate bedrooms, wouldn't talk to each other, wouldn't speak to each other, and then, he'd come to me and say, hey, I got this event coming up, so I need you to come with me, and we'll go to the event and show up smiling and talking to everybody. And so did that for a few times, and then one day I decided, I was like, I'm gonna stop living this lie. And it's like when I started realizing I was living a lie and started being honest with myself, I was like, I'm just gonna work on me. One thing he did tell me, he was like, you need to get some counseling. And I was like, you're right. I do. And I did it too. I was like, I'm gonna take his advice, and I did it. And I'm still in therapy now. But I started, just working on myself, and it made me love him better and more, just in a different way, because I refused to just comply with the chaos that was happening. I still love him. Everybody wants to know, would you ever go back? No, the answer is no. But I do still care for him and still love him, because that's a chunk of my life. That's most of my life.
You have children and grandchildren.
We have 6 amazing children and 3 gorgeous grandbabies. And so when I made that decision to really work on myself, it caused me to love him better and truly, care for him, but not in a way where it was mending us back together. And I still feel that way. I still do, care for him. And it's not just because he is my children's father and grandfather, but it's just because he's another human being. And my goal is always to love people well like Jesus does, because like you mentioned, I know a lot of people because I'm intentional about relationships and stuff. So yeah.
So when you have such a drastic change like that, after that amount of time, of course, things within your home are altered, but things within you are altered. Things around you are altered. If you had to think about what has been most surprising about, because you guys had a well-known story of how the union came about, and
that's in the first one.
Doing ministry together, doing all the things. And the unfortunate thing about transition sometimes is that people don't know how to approach you or respond to you when they know or when they don't know. They just don't know. So it gets weird sometimes.
Yeah.
Have you had any surprising or shocking moments that were like, maybe you didn't think that person, and not naming names, just, instances of where people were you were taken aback? Hey, just for a moment, I wanted to interrupt you. So no, the video has not messed up. This is an intentional interruption. just for me first to say thank you, because if you've gotten to this point, that means you're still watching this interview, and hopefully you're hearing some things that are helping you, encouraging you, inspiring you. But I thank you for taking the time to listen, to get to know some of these amazing people, and to be encouraged and inspired by their stories. Second of all, I want to give you an opportunity to partner with me. If there is something that you think you can offer to this platform, either hands-on if you're local to the Greenville area, if you know some guests that you think I should interview, or if you see the transitions that we've gone through from when I started with Women Who Win and now doing this in my own space, and you say, I want to support that vision, I want to give to it, we welcome any type of support that you have to give. We also are going to have opportunities for organizations and businesses. You don't have to be local to Greenville, but we can spotlight you during our show segments. If any of that sounds interesting to you and you want to participate, shoot me an email. I'm going to put the email address on the screen, and I want to give you all of the information on how you can partner and connect so that we can keep bringing these people before you, sharing their amazing stories, offering them a safe space to share their journeys, and to also help encourage you along yours. So thank you again for listening, and now back to this interview.
I think most every encounter where I have to talk about it, people are taken aback. But I remember one time celebrating a friend's birthday, and a group of us women went to a restaurant. And one of the ladies that came, she was sitting to my right, and we hadn't seen each other in a long time. And she was like, oh my God, Stephanie. And we're just like hugging each other. And then she was like, y'all just don't know. Stephanie and her husband, they sat us down. And honey, our marriage is like in the dumps. But they helped us, and they got us back on track. And so, I'm just like, because she didn't know. And so she just kept going on about it. And so she says, she kept saying, but we made it. She said, we made it. And she said, it was because they helped us. We made it. And so she was about to start asking me about him. And so she was like, we made it. And I said, but we didn't. And so she missed it, and she just kept talking. And she said, how is, she's about to ask about the ministry and all that stuff. And I said, we didn't make it. And then she was like, what? And I said, we're not together anymore. I said, we're divorced now. And she just busted out crying.
Wow.
And we were at this table, it's about 8 women. And so I have had to console a lot of people, in that process. Or sometimes whenever I encounter people and they'll say, tell them I said hey. And I'm just like, okay. It's like, I just got to go with the flow. I'm like, right. But I'm not. Right. And so, but most of the times when I have to share it, then it can get kind of awkward. Mm-hmm. I'm at a place now where it's not hard for me to share it anymore, but I'm always anticipating knowing that this person loved both of us, and how the relationship we've had with this person, I'm anticipating that their response is going to be instant sadness. And so I've had a few people to cry, and wow. I've ended up consoling them, in the process, because by the time, I had to tell a lot of people this, by the time you share this information, you've already done it. And so I've had people, when I started sharing, they was like, I need to sit down and talk to y'all. We need to talk to y'all. And I'm like, we are way past that. That was like years ago. So I had, I think I shared with you about one of my favorite podcasts is the Dear Future Wifey podcast. But one of those episodes that stands out for me is an African brother and sister that are on there, and they talk about how the culture, which we've gotten away from as African Americans, is that whenever you want to be with somebody and marry them, you have to bring them to your parents and then to your elders for approval. And then in reverse, if y'all decide that y'all gonna divorce, you have to come back and get permission again. Oh, wow. But we don't do that. We bring the person and like, this is the person I love, and this is how great this person is. But when things spiral out, we tend to retreat and try to deal with that on our own. And I really do, I saw this episode, of course, after being divorced, but I really do wish that that was our culture. And so I've shared it with a lot of people. I shared it with my kids because I'm like, I want to start that, you know, or, you know, have that going, because I feel like when you have that much support, then, and somebody say, no, you can't divorce, go work it out, it's like, you just do it because it's just the culture, you know, in most cases. But that wasn't our case, but I really do wish that was our culture.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that kind of segued right into what I wanted to ask you about next, as far as, you know, how you are now. Because I know just from personal transition, again, not marriage or divorce, but community starts to look different.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, how not only how people respond, but who shows up and how they show up, or who decides to retreat because they choose a side that they didn't even have to choose.
Yeah.
So what has your community looked like since you have gone through that transition?
Well, my community has not changed at all, because I've been so intentional with my relationships. And so even, of course, as couples, you have couple friends and you do couple things together. I've always maintained those relationships. And so, of course, it's different whenever everybody's doing something. And so I always tell people, now I love being a third wheel. I'm not dating, I'm single. And so I'm like, let me go out with you and your spouse. Like, let's go hang out, you know, somewhere. But I have had people that I know that have chosen sides, but when it comes to my people, of course, they're like, I'm going to support you. And so anytime anybody ever tries to defame his name or start talking bad or trying to tell about an experience about one time when he made them mad, I'd be like, I don't talk bad about him. That's literally a pact that he and I made. That, you know, we wouldn't do that to each other, but I told him that I would share my truth, and I said, I don't mind if you share your truth, you know, at all, but that's about it as far as my community.
That's good.
I don't let people do it. I've had people say, you want me to do something to him? I'm like, no. You know, it's like in a joking way, but I'm like, no, seriously,
absolutely
no.
Not.
But I'm like, no, because I'm like, I still care about this dude. And, you know, and I'm like, my kids, that's their daddy. Don't mess with their daddy, you know. They need him. So so as far as my community, I of course, I have a lot of support, but only a few people have, you know, been upset to the point where they, because they're talking to me first in some cases, that they're like, you know, I want to talk to him, like give him a piece of my mind. I'm like, no, don't don't do it. You know, I'm like, we're good, you know, don't do it.
Yeah.
So, but the ones that have chosen sides, I've experienced that through some rudeness and comments, and I just don't respond. I cannot focus on any of that, the marriage, what could have been, what should have been, because I'm moving forward. And you can get stuck right there. Of course, I follow a lot of people who are single, a lot of single groups and all that stuff. And now I'm starting to understand why people say they really like their own space. Because sometimes I think about that. Like, now, one thing people ask me, will I get married again? They always ask, would we ever get back together again? I'm like, no, not the way things are. But if I definitely would love to be married again. I believe in the marriage institution. I'm a good wife. And I want to, you know, be booed up with somebody sometimes, you know. And so I definitely would love to do that, but it would have to look different. I don't want to move in that person's house. I don't want them to move in my house. We're going to have to move in our own house together, because I got stuff set up now. I don't even want my kids coming in and messing with stuff, you know, like, why y'all here? Why y'all still here? And so, yeah, I definitely believe in that I will get married again. I do.
Good.
At my big old age of 55.
Yes, and gorgeous.
Thank you.
So, what are you doing now that you are single? You know, we know that you're a mom and you're a grandmother, and I see the pictures on social media, but, you know, I know you played a large role in the organization that you guys kind of co-founded together.
Yeah, we co-founded it.
But I know that you keep an idea in the bag.
Girl, so working on one today. So the answer to what I am doing is everything. So we did co-found a nonprofit together, but originally that was his vision. That was the vision that God gave him, and so I was just to help me to come along and help that vision come to pass. And so that there's a focus on one area in that nonprofit, but I focus on all people when it comes to like loving people well and caring for people. I still get phone calls and text messages, requesting services from that, and I just, continue to send people there because it's still doing well. That's one thing that, I'm very proud of. It's still a good organization doing good things in the community and internationally as well. But with me, I'm in transition right now. I've been in transition for years.
Listen, it is, trust me, it just came to me. It's probably going to be my next t-shirt. Transition is a lifestyle.
Yeah, it is a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
It is. And so...
and don't y'all take that, but put it on the shirt, because I'll come after you. God will get you too.
This
That's
right
mine.
Here, this right here is the documentation that is Tammy's.
Yeah. Look, before I release it, I'm going to have the shirt, so don't even try me.
Right, and I want one.
Yes.
Because it is definitely a lifestyle. You have people that... live the American dream, so to speak. They work for 30 plus years, retire, they got the house, the picket fence, the family, the grandkids, the house, the cars, that type. And that's just not who I am. I'm not that settled. And it's not because I'm just like all over the place. I'm just extremely adventurous and spontaneous. And my mind is like constantly going. But right now I'm in a transition from leaving my job. I actually resigned back in August, and I'm still there. I'm there doing contract work, and that's because I really love helping people start, their own businesses. And so we have 3 classes going with that right now. But I had to leave because I could never get my own businesses going. And so I am in the process of opening my own in-home healthcare business, and it's called Next Steps in Wellness, in-home healthcare.
Yes, congratulations!
Thank you. And then my transportation business, I opened that back in 2017, and so revamping that again. I ride transportation services, and they'll kind of go hand in hand with some things that I'm working on with that. But that's like my big stuff.
I love it.
And my house is tore up right now because I'm preparing it to Airbnb. My home. And so, and still looking for a place to move or buy or rent or crash on somebody's couch. So that is that. So, and I, like you mentioned my children and my grandchildren, but this grandmama go outside. So I do keep my grandchildren. I do love them and spend time with them. But I was outside on purpose in my healing and grieving phase, and I was like, every time somebody asked me to go somewhere, I'm gonna go. And so everybody's just seeing me everywhere for the first time in 30 years. And so I pull back a little bit because I really do have to sit my butt down and get some stuff done because I do have a lot of irons in the fire. And I was explaining to Lee when I came. I said I just got so many little things that can be done so easily, but it's just like a lot of them. So I started it today, just kind of like writing out stuff, giving things what I call a freedom date or deadline. So I can actually do them instead of just like they're just out there that I need to do them. And so that's just where I am right now. So just transitioning into entrepreneurship as always. With my me starting over in life, I'm starting all the way over because I was a stay-at-home mom. Those years in my marriage, I could choose to work if I wanted to. I didn't pay any bills, and so now it's like all that's changed, for me. So I'm just taking care of me right now.
Yes. Yeah. So that's going to segue, and we're going to be turning the corner here to wrap up soon. I don't want to keep you here too long. But I'm going to kind of combine these 2 questions because I think they kind of could go hand in hand. I like to ask people, because it's on the wall, embrace your journey. What does that mean to you, especially when you're in transition or right out of a transition? But I also want you, because I wore this shirt with intention, self-love and soul care. And I heard you mention you were big on self-love and self-care. Yeah. And I like to purposely, I used to hashtag this all the time, then I just pulled the trigger and put it on a shirt. Because, you know, self-care is important, and I did it with intention where, you know, you can cross, but when you're doing that, you're loving your soul, your mind, your will, and emotions, because that's really where the torment happens when we're in transition. And wellness really, or not, the state of not being well really starts on the inside before we start noticing on the outside. So I want you to tell me what Embrace Your Journey means to you. And then also, when you hear self-love, soul care, what does that make you think about?
So I'm going to start with self-care and self-love.
Okay.
I love that soul care too, for sure. So self-care to me is maintenance. It's things like whatever you need to do to make yourself feel good in the moment. Get your nails done, get a massage, get your hair done. But self-love and soul care, that's internal. So that's where the work takes place in there. So embracing my journey, while I was healing and still healing and grieving, I had to do that self-love part. I first had to realize the lie that I was living, and if I wanted to continue to live that lie. I had to focus on my health. I had to focus on a lot of things at the same time. I had to focus on my health. And then I'm still a mama, you know, so you know, like focusing on other people, you know, in that process. So my journey, I really have no regrets. I don't have any regrets, because I have, in those 26, 33 years, I've grown up a lot, and I'm never going to stop growing.
Right.
I'm always going to be working on myself. And so with embracing my journey, I just did that day by day. Sometimes it was hour by hour, because sometimes I literally could not get up because I was just that depressed. And so when I would come outside, people would be like, you don't look like what you going through or what you've been through, And that's like, you hear that different whenever you are like really putting in the work. Sometimes people can just stay away for a long time and then just pop outside. But I think they were truly seeing the work that I had been doing. I had a health coach, a life coach and a therapist at the same time. The life coach that I was using, her focus is on women who deal with death in relationships or breakups and divorce. And so that was extremely helpful because she knew everything I was getting ready to go through. And so she would prepare me for it. And so when I would come upon it, I would already know about it.
Oh, wow.
And so that was, oh my God, so helpful, because I would be so devastated, if without that knowledge of having that. And then I'm going to therapy. I'm in therapy and just learning how to release. One thing my therapist said to me, we had been talking for like 2 months. And she asked me, she said, what's your husband's name? And I told her, and she said, the whole time we've been talking, these months, you've just been saying, my husband, my husband, my husband. And she said, now you guys have agreed that you're going to divorce, right? And I was like, right. And she said, and there's no chance of reconciliation. I was like, right. And she said, so the covenant has been broken. She said, so that's no longer your husband. Because I struggled with talking about myself without talking about him. Wow. I always talked about him because we were one. And I had also lost myself because I could only talk about him because he was out there in the forefront doing everything. And then people would be like, what you do? And I'm like, everything else. And so that embracing my journey helped me to really learn who Stephanie is and Step Gray. And for a long time, the reason why I'm in transition now, these many years after the divorce, with my name is because I felt like I helped make our name great. And I was like, I ain't giving up that name. But people would not separate me from him. They were introducing me as, such and such, This, yeah, her. And then people always say, you know, they'll hear my last name, they go, Blessing Gang, Blessing Gang. Are you related to? And I say, I used to be. So I tell them all the time. And so just on that journey of embracing my journey and learning who I am, I decided to go back to my maiden name.
Okay.
And so, because I'm like, I'm starting over, so let's just start there and just, you know, move forward. My kids are all adults, and, you know, we don't have to.
Like you gotta go to
yeah,
school.
we ain't got to go through none of the last name issues and stuff. But yeah, all of that is what embracing my journey is to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was able to ask this question to my last guest, and because you have shared that you are a gorgeous, amazing 55-year-old, I turned 50 this year. So I would love to know, do you have any words of wisdom or advice for me as I embark into this 50s era?
Into the 50s era. Okay, so first of all, my mama, when I turned 50, she was like, you remember you used to think 50 was old? And I'm like, I really did, you know, think 50 was old until I got here. And I don't feel old. I don't even know what it means when you say you don't look 55 or you don't, you know, you don't feel 55 because, you know, you've never felt any of this before. But with all the areas of my life that I'm working on, I always feel like it's just a big circle. You can't just work on one thing and not tap into the other thing. If you're focusing on your spiritual life, you're going to have to set boundaries with friends and family, yourself. And if you're focusing on your health, same thing. You got to discipline yourself in all of those areas. And so that is what I would advise you to do. Is like when you're working on everything, they all are going to kind of overlap. And that's where you're going to, you know, receive your joy and keep your joy and your happiness, you know, in the moment when it comes to those things. I get up in the mornings, and now, Lord, I have the struggle waking up in the morning because I stay up too late at night doing stuff, probably scrolling on my phone a lot of times. But when I wake up, I'm always thanking the Lord. I'm always going to read my daily scripture first and my daily word first, and I'm gonna put my worship music on. That's probably what take me so long to get dressed, because I'm either in the flow or dancing while I'm getting ready. But it's just my ritual of what I do. And then sometimes I just jump up and I got to spring and jet out of the house. But I do try to exercise. I'm changing things around. I've lost a lot of weight since the divorce, and I haven't done anything different. Like, I hired a trainer one time. I did do that. I hired a health coach. But I'm just changing my lifestyle, you know, every day, just doing, you know, little by little. Okay. So, yeah, just focus on you and do what you're able to do. I don't put myself on no special diets or no special plans or anything like that. And every day it's just like, what can I do to better myself?
I like that.
I don't feel 55, whatever that may feel like. But I love sharing my age. I'm not one of those people that don't like to share my age. I love to share it because I know I don't look like what, you know, people think that should look like. And I feel good. You know, I feel good about it. So.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So this has been my staple question. And after I have you respond to this question, I'm going to also ask you to look into the camera that's facing you and just give some words of advice, encouragement, wisdom for either women facing transition or anyone facing transition, and maybe some helpful tips of how to navigate, or if people, because even I think we're kind of in that age bracket of some people who are pro therapy, but still you still have some that are not. You know, maybe if people are fighting the thought of trying to go talk to somebody else, you know, whatever you feel led to share, I'm going to have you share that. But my staple go-to question is, because I love music, if you had to name a song that defines this season of your life.
Tammy, that's hard. Oh my God, let me think. Because I listen to all kind of music. Today, the song that got stuck in my head is "Sooner or Later." It'll work in my favor. Yeah. Okay. So I've been kind of humming that and singing that, just that little phrase. Yeah. So I would say that one right now. Okay. But I'm gonna tell you the first thing that came to my mind. Or maybe I should.
Yes.
Juvenile.
What song?
Because I like my knuck if your butt ratchet music too. You know, that kind of like gets me hyped and stuff. But yeah, I'm not gonna say that song.
Okay.
We're gonna stay with that one because that's a song that's been like literally stuck in my head all day, and just thinking about how the hard things that I've gone through, looking back on, that's why I don't regret any of it. It was always a plan on the other end for me to win, and I always win.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm always like, sooner or later it's gonna turn in my favor. So
yeah, turn it around for me.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's my song.
Okay. So we're gonna give you a moment to look in the camera and share whatever you want to share by way of encouragement or wisdom.
Okay.
I know you've already shared a lot, so if you want to kind of just put a bow on it and throw something at somebody who is transitioned to be very difficult for them right now.
And especially if you have a transition like mine where you've experienced death or divorce, but any type of hard transition, I had affirmations that I would say to myself every day. And one of the ones that I always resort back to is, Stephanie, you can do hard things. You've done hard things before. You can do hard things again because you always come out on top on the other side. So don't ever think it's so hard that you just can't do it. I'm always quoting the scripture, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, because that's literally how I was getting through because of making, that decision to keep it there and keep it with God. Another thing that I would share is that build you a support system, people that you can be honest with. I was the type of person where I never shared anything about what was truly going on with me because I always had so many people coming to me with their things. And so I never felt like there was a space for me to start sharing that, because I started living that lie of letting people build me up to a person that I truly was not. And so I built a support system around me whenever I started sharing about what I was going through. And whenever they asked what I needed, I would literally tell them what I needed. If I needed money, because I did, I would say I needed money. If I needed a hug, because that was one thing that I missed so bad, was just having a hug, I would just tell them I needed a hug. And so it can be, as simple as that. So just be honest with yourself, live in your truth, and build a support system around you, and get you some therapy. Sit somewhere and just talk and let it out. It doesn't matter if it's a stranger, because I hear people saying, how can I let this stranger who doesn't know anything about me tell me how to fix me? But they only know what you tell them. So you have to be honest with them and yourself when you're talking about that. And their job is to work along with you to come to a resolution of something that helps you heal and grow. So that's my advice.
Thank you so much. That was good. And I like that you mentioned about building a support system and having to be honest, because when you are typically the person that people go to, it's a different level of vulnerability for you to have to go to people and take off this false strong person cape that people have put on many of us that we don't want to wear. But again, it's part of this whole image. Everybody thinks you're good, everybody thinks you're stronger. They'll think, oh well, I've heard people say, well, you make it look easy. Yeah. Well, you don't really have a choice many times.
Get up, put your clothes on and go.
Right. For your transparency, for your openness, for your honesty, for your even the comedic approach that you have when you are sharing. I think your story, as always, is going to help a lot of people. So I'm super proud that you have found the freedom and the bravery to say, I'm going to speak my truth. And, I think we have to realize there's a difference between, picking sides or telling your sides or just speaking your truth.
Yeah, that's
your truth is your truth. Yeah. Whatever you experience was truly your experience. And it does not leave with whatever left.
Exactly. I'm tearing up a little bit here, guys, because I'm really proud of myself. One of the things that I learned to do was stand up for myself and protect myself and cover myself. And so this is the first time that I'm on a platform where I'm sharing my story. Wow. I've talked about it a lot, to individuals, but this is my first time sharing it. So I'm proud of myself.
Thank you. I'm proud of you too.
I learned to celebrate small things. That's a thing that I learned in therapy, because you got this life and you just like doing it. And so my therapist one day was like, what are we celebrating? And I'm like, and then she started saying, what are we celebrating? And I'm like, I'm celebrating this and this and this. And so those are things, when you accomplish things as you're growing and healing, just stop and celebrate. You know, whether it's just in the mirror saying, you know, I did it, or, you know, go get you a coffee or something. But I'm going to celebrate this because I'm sharing it with the world.
Thank you, and thank you for trusting me to come into space with me.
Of course.
To share it here. Another level of self-love and soul care. I love it. I love it. So listen, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. I forgot to say in the beginning to make sure you subscribe. So hopefully by now you have subscribed to the YouTube channel if you're watching it, but if not, please do so. Want to bring not just for the sake of numbers, but I think that I have had the privilege and honor to talk to some amazing people, and I believe that the stories that are shared on this platform inspire, encourage, and motivate and help. So subscribe, share, continue to follow. I'll put the platforms on the screen that you can stay connected. Support my guests, and do you have platforms for them to support your businesses, or
Not
how
yet,
if people want to cut?
But if you look, I can't even tell y'all. Y'all can follow me like on Instagram or Twitter. I don't do nothing on either one of them. But on Facebook, I just do not accept any friend requests unless somebody is like, accept my friend request. So, but I'm Stephanie Gray on all of my platforms right now. On Instagram, I'm Step T Gray. On that. So yeah. Right now, I don't do anything on there, but it's coming. So we'll definitely share that information. And again, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for staying connected. And until next time.